Alright guys, welcome to this week's episode of Den of the Silver Fox. I'm your host Cagney. Today here we got quite the ensemble. We got my buddy Lennon again.
It's me.
We got Tor returning again.
Hola.
And back by popular demand we got Chase.
Hi.
And Jake.
I'm not drunk this time.
Yep. He's going to have his indoor voice on this time.
Playing it loose and fast with popular.
Yeah. Alright, so this week we're going to be talking about Star Wars shows and movies after the acquisition by Disney. So more modern day based stuff. So, you guys want to start with shows or movies?
I think we should start with the movies.
Yeah.
Because the parallels and what the shows have done better will be better understood if you come at it after having an understanding of the films.
Okay, I can see that. Well, I'll just go out and say it then. So my favorite, obviously, is Rogue One. After Disney acquired them, I think everybody had a solid, positive review of that movie. I don't really know of anybody that responded negative, besides like obvious like haters in like the media and stuff. But even then, it was very well received to me, at least.
I can't think of anybody that actually hated on it.
No.
For anything other than them telling a story that everybody knew the ending to. They're like, it's passable because you know how Rogue One ends.
Right.
But for that, in that same regard, Halo Reach is one of the most favorited Halos, isn't it? You knew how that shit is.
Yeah!
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think it was also a good, diverse cast.
Exactly, and if those of you that have listened to some of our other podcasts and how we hate that, I hate. Have a problem with that forced diversity. They made a movie with a good cast of characters and a good story that just happened to be men and women and people of color and all of these different diverse demographics, but they weren't their key defining character traits.
Yeah.
Like, I think that the new trilogy wasn't really bad with the diversity. Yeah,
They
it was
forced
kind
the
of
hell out of it.
forced, but like also Poe Dameron was a cool character.
Huh, get it?
I'm gonna say that.
Was it?
I did like Poe Dameron.
I thought Poe and Finn's interaction was very organic. I really did
their
appreciate
relationship
that.
was great.
That is 100% a military buddy friendship.
It's a bromance.
It's a bromance.
It's a straight up bromance, like earned in fire and under fire.
They escaped from a Star Destroyer together.
I also think that people got scared of the gay implications of it because they totally shoehorned in like female relationships with Finn and Poe. Like one chick in the third movie who he was like had an ambiguous relationship with.
Oh, the bounty hunter.
Oh,
and then Rose and Finn out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, that was forced.
That was so
that was
dumb.
pretty garbage.
She's my least favorite character in all three of those movies.
They literally didn't do anything with her in the third because people hated her so much.
I didn't hate her.
I didn't like their
I just
story.
didn't like how they forced
literally bullied the actress off of the social media platforms.
The reason I don't like Rose as a character is that she took what, in my opinion, would have been the single greatest scene and sacrifice of any Star Wars film ever, right? So even better than when Han Solo comes in and saves Luke Skywalker in the trench run on the Death Star, right? Finn was ready. He was going to give his life and just totally fist fuck the First Order's plans and blow himself and that Star Destroyer battering around they brought, blow it the fuck and beat them. And that shit would have had some high impact and meaning, and it would have been like a huge binding inspirational moment for the Resistance to be like, holy shit, this dude was willing to drive a speeder at Mach Jesus into this fucking gun and blow it the fuck up for us. Like we cannot let this motherfucker down now. And then instead she's like, but I love you. Gay.
Yeah.
And not like the cool gay that dresses nice and like wingmans you at clubs, when you go to Cancun. It's like when your parents chaperone prom. Gay.
Yeah, it was trash. That whole arc was trash.
That ruined that entire movie for me. I was so mad. I was like, he's gonna do it. This is great. This is like an adult moment in Star Wars.
I want to say say that none of this is the actors or actresses' fault. It is
Right.
the fucking writers, and
Yeah.
it really pissed me off that they bullied the fucking actress off of social media.
Exactly. Like
They
she had
could've
any
saved-
control over it. She did a really good job
She
in
was a
that
good
part.
actress.
They could have saved
Exactly.
her a lot of trouble if they'd have reversed it and she sacrificed herself to be back with her sister.
Yo, that's deep as hell. Exactly. See, they missed.
I would have
the
got
little
that. I would have understood that. I'd be like, oh, damn, Rose.
Sad.
Okay. Hey,
Cheers.
cheers.
Cheers,
to you,
Rose.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah.
Then
That
she
would-
could have actually had some impact in the movie.
She could have held that necklace charm
Yeah.
and gone out like that. Remember the sister one? The one that the sister had.
And that would have been
yeah.
those are those parts in the new Star Wars trilogy that they missed, is they didn't do anything to really make us give a fuck about the characters.
No.
It was just like a constant fan service, like when Wedge Antilles and Lando show up in the last movie, or when Luke Skywalker shows up in the second one. Like it was these weird little. It was like 2.5 hours across 3 movies of fan service, and not making a movie where we care about the characters.
And I think a lot of it too was because if you're gonna do a trilogy like that, I think the biggest qualm for me at least, keep the same director and keep the same writers for the trilogy. Don't hire new people every single movie. Like that's where they fucked up with the second movie. They didn't keep JJ on. They should have just give him the trilogy, let him do his thing. He's tried and true and he's proven.
Didn't
It
he
wouldn't
not-
have fucked up.
Didn't he not want to do all 3?
All of the writers said they were super unhappy with how the trilogy worked out, and all of the directors hated it. And like
Yeah.
all their cuts were
Well,
made
it's because
shit.
what's her face? Because
Kathleen Kennedy.
that
Yeah.
bitch.
That bitch.
Yeah,
You simple bitch.
that bitch Carol Baskins. I mean,
Catherine.
It's hard to write Star Wars because we don't have any source material. Our comic books are.
Huh, they're all
Excuse me!
canon now.
I didn't have sex in high school because of all the source material you have. You selfish bitch.
it's not that they don't have like 30 years worth of books and comics and just
They're acting
lore.
like it's not a
Yes.
super established universe that has a huge following for years,
Yeah.
and then they take it and shit on it
That's what happens when you don't let a fan
in charge.
do it.
Exactly. They did some cool concepts and cool scenes, and I think they did the wrong characters. Like in the second one when I forget what her name is, but the lady with the pink hair stripe.
Oh,
She turns the ship around and jumps at light
Oh,
speed.
Laura Dern.
Laura
Dern.
Dern. Yeah.
Dern.
Lord
Ding.
Darn.
Yeah.
Her character came out of nowhere. She's never been in Star Wars. I don't know who the fuck this bitch is. I don't care. If Admiral
She was a
Akbar
martyr.
had
She was
been
a-
like, guess what, boys? I'm going down with the shit.
We're sending her-
Spun it around and send it center mass to that motherfucker. I would have fucking cried. I'd have like, he's a goddamn hero!
It's a trap by us.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's the face that wrote or directed the Rogue One movie. It was he's a fanboy. You know, at the end of the day, like he's a fanboy.
Not for
Let
Fro
him-
didn't do that, did he?
Huh?
Was it Takiti Wahiti, whatever? I cannot
No,
Taika
remember.
Taika
Waititi.
Waititi. No,
That's
no,
the
it's
one.
Gareth Edwards.
Oh, okay.
Gareth Edwards wrote and directed that one. I mean, and the dude, like obviously he fucking is good at movies like that, you know. So like, let him do his thing, and they did, and it was an amazing movie. Like I said, Rogue One's my favorite Star Wars movie, like modern day, since the acquisition thing.
I would dare say, and this is hard to say because I've been a Star Wars fan since I was like 4 years old. Like my first concept of what a lightsaber was. I've loved Star Wars, and I think Rogue One was probably the best film that they've ever made because it truly showed you how different people who can use the Force and people who can't use the Force are. Because they build this whole 2-hour movie of these people getting their asses kicked and kicking ass in like a standard, espionage warfare based scenario. And then the 10 minutes where somebody who can use the Force shows up, everyone shits their pants and dies.
True.
To the point where I would probably actually just watch 3 hours of Darth Vader walking through a dark hallway killing people.
I forgot. I read something. They were like that movie depicted like Darth Vader like this as like a slasher. It was like a slasher film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
but
basically
fucking
Jason.
Darth Vader.
He was Jason.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have put the same music on there and it had the same effect, if not better. I mean,
True.
because you got to remember, like in the original trilogy, how feared and enamored people were with Darth Vader. Because back then, he was like, him and Palpatine were pretty much the only Force users that you saw. You know what I mean? Like, and they had such a legend built up, especially after, like, when Luke was, like, finally becoming, like, a Jedi. People didn't know it. People thought it was just a rumor. You know, no one remembered the Jedi. Especially not the Sith. And they used to... He fucked shit up. Look what he did at the end of that movie. It was
He was in a staff meeting and he tried to kill the guy in HR. Like, the CEO had to be like, hey, we need that guy.
Yeah.
That shit was funny as hell.
But it just made you remember, like, why they were so feared. You know, like, no one tried to clap back really as much. You know? It's like, well, I don't want to get fucking force choked and toss out an airlock and slice it
From across the galaxy. Literally, I'm on a Zoom video call and I'm like,
Yeah. I don't know.
My favorite part of the original trilogy is when he force chokes that admiral on the bridge of the Executor, and then he turns to the second in command. He's like, "Congratulations, Admiral!" Like, the best promotion scene ever of all time.
Dude was like, I don't want to fucking be an admiral anymore.
Don't fuck it up.
What's up, those two stormtroopers that see Kylo Ren having that fucking little bitch fit?
Yeah.
They're just like,
Having a
"Whoop."
aneurysm
I
and
just-
leave.
Everything about those 3 movies, I just hated it. It just wasn't like that little bitch fit that you're talking about. No, that's stupid. From the moment Kylo Ren took off his helmet and I saw Squidward nose, no. No.
Okay,
I think
but
Adam
let's
Driver's
not
a handsome
forget.
man.
He, but like, he's
Vinny,
gonna
you're
be,
yelling again.
I just can't. I'm gonna yell. I'm gonna yell.
No,
on.
you're not.
I think the movies could have been fixed if they had done just little things different to make us care about the characters or see why those characters are important. Like, there's a part in the third one when they land on either Endor or one of the moons of Endor, wherever the Death Star had landed, the parts of it that fell from orbit, and they meet all those ex-stormtrooper people that are riding the horses, doing their horse soldier thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's just like, and they're talking, and she's like, "Well, we were stormtroopers," and he's like, "Oh, that's crazy. What made you guys leave?" And she's just like, "Yeah, I just didn't feel like doing it anymore." But she could have been like, "Oh, we heard about this stormtrooper on this ship
And it
that
would've been
rebelled
him.
and did this thing," and he's like, "Oh shit, guess what? That was me."
This guy FN2187.
Yeah, and he's like, "That's my serial number. That's what's so crazy." And then that would have been like a cool way to like make him an important character. Why do people want to follow him? Why is he important in the saga now? Why do I care about him? Well, because he inspired a whole bunch of stormtroopers to cut bait and be like, "Fuck y'all, this
His
shit's
panic
dumb."
attack
Was
turned
that
him
the-
into a hero.
Was that the implication that they left because...
No, the
That
implication
that
was
that's what
was-
he's saying. is
Oh,
that
he's saying, okay.
It would have been cool
There
if
was
they
no
did it
reason.
that way.
Yeah.
for them
But I
to
did
do
like
that.
the fact that other people had done it independently. Because obviously, if, like, when he escapes, the Empire, or the First Order, excuse me, is not going to let that out. Like, they're not going to let other groups of stormtroopers
Right.
do that.
Of course
right?
not.
So the
Yeah.
fact that other people did it independently is interesting. And then
That's
they
fair.
all found each other on whatever fucking planet that was.
I think it was Endor.
Yeah.
I think
Or
it was,
actually, it was
yeah.
a whole, like, battalion, right, who did it at once.
It was a lot.
Was
Because, yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I just watched it, yeah. So they were supposed to, like, kill a whole village, and then all of them just dropped their guns.
That's
and, like,
right,
fuck
because
Yeah.
all the people
Yeah.
that were riding on those horse things
Yeah.
were
stormtroopers.
whether there's a bit like mutineers or
it. Yeah.
whatever. You
They
know?
were all from the same, like,
Yeah, yeah.
company or battalion
Yeah.
or whatever.
That's
they were
kinda
traitors
cool.
to their government. To be honest with you. So, Empire did nothing wrong. The Empire did nothing wrong. The First Order is a whole bunch of fucking neo-Nazi wannabe fanboy pussies. But the Empire itself, yes.
Cooch.
I'm on board. I would have been a Stormtrooper corpsman. Through and through.
I mean, would there have been a point? Like laser weapons and shit?
Have you seen what's
Sure.
the... It's
Well,
not
there
a
were
robot
plasma
chicken,
weapons.
it's
Do
something
you really
else.
want to get into the physics of Star Wars?
Okay,
weaponry?
okay. What were you saying?
It's not a robot chicken, but there's like a parody video of the fur from in the New Hope. It's a stormtrooper that gets hit right away, and they're trying to save him. It's a... Don't worry about it, because I can't explain it properly. But I'll show it to you later.
Promptly ignoring.
You'll probably ignore it.
I mean, I don't know. Because the first one started off with so much... The first of the trilogy started off with so much potential and really got people like feeling it again.
Interested.
You know? I mean, Star Wars has always been beloved and it always will be beloved. But at the same time, like this like reinvigorated the love for like a whole new generation. You know? For
Maybe.
something new. And then I feel like the second one, they just took that and they just fucking threw it in the dumpster.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially with, in my opinion, what could have been a fantastic returning character. Benicio del Toro playing that hacker, slicer, gambler guy. and he shows up and he double crosses them. But what if he like triple crossed everybody and then come back in the end like Han Solo does and saves Luke? Like if he'd have showed back up and like, surprise, idiots! I forced your hyperdrive to go supercritical, and you're all gonna die. And then he saves Finn and Rey and everybody on that.
It was kind of
the
a
ship
waste
and
of
the
an
bales.
actor with that kind of caliber. I mean, he's fucking Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, he
You know,
could've-
like, yeah. And you just make him, like, not even a cool dude.
yeah, he's just like a dick.
Yeah.
Just a total asshole.
Yeah.
For no, and like a total not important character ever.
I thought
again.
the stutter was kind of weird, too. Yeah, that's some kind of stutter thing, right?
Yeah, he stuttered a little bit, which
Yeah.
is whatever. His little character flavor, fine.
Yeah.
Chewbacca yells at people and has like weird interspecies sex with a nurse and then also some lizard lady that owns a castle. I mean,
What?
What?
yeah,
This
so
is
that
in
girl.
books?
No, it's in the movies.
What?
Yeah, he's flirting with that nurse that heals him up after they get off of Takanda, and then while he was on Takanda, the what's her name, Maz? She was like,
Oh.
"Where's my boyfriend?"
Yeah.
They didn't actually fuck. She was just like
I hope they actually
weird.
fuck.
She was just
Oh,
saying,
boy,
"Where's my
Chewie
boyfriend?"
is fun. I don't know if you know this.
He's the ultimate furry.
Oh
Wookiees
god.
are strong
that's
enough to pull the ears off of a Gundark, so either they're fucking or he's fucking.
I don't know what a Gundark is.
Yeah, I don't
She
know.
was
either.
above my pay grade.
It's a it's a dude. Like I said, I was a virgin in high
Fucking
school.
nerd.
I motherfucking love some Star Wars. But you go back to the Rogue One with all these. I think maybe that's why Rogue One and The Mandalorian have done so well, is because they are well. Rogue One was an established story. It wasn't very fleshed out
It was
prior to
based
that.
on
Right.
the old ones.
But it's new. Well, that's a good point. So it's all that
It had
that
source material
original
from
tech
the good
and those
shit.
planets, and they talk about they reference things and show things that were in the original series trilogy. But it's also new characters and a new story, and it doesn't really. It's just a bridge between two trilogies
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of trying to create a continuation of a story.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it wasn't like new, but it was well done.
Yeah.
Right.
They
Which
finally
is-
hashed out something that people had always wondered about. Because when she said, many Bothans died getting us this information.
I didn't see any goddamn Bothans on that beach, by the way. It was a lot of humans.
Yeah.
A ton of dudes died.
Some little gremlin guy with a big-ass mouth. That gray dude.
Yeah, with 4 arms. I forget what they're called, but they're not Bothans.
Yeah. And then, like, I don't know. Yeah, a whole lot of humans. And a lot of stormtroopers died, too.
Word.
Yeah.
Those tan stormtroopers are dope, bro.
Yeah, the stormtroopers.
Awesome.
Amphibious by nature.
I didn't think it was
The
kinda-
Marines.
I think it was kind of weird that the Empire dudes were so willing to off like their own guys too. Like nobody liked that fucking director Creed.
Krennic?
Yeah,
Krennic.
nobody liked that motherfucker. Like they were willing to off him so quickly.
Yeah, bye.
You know, like
Although, to be fair, if Al Qaeda somehow got the football from the president and they were about to activate some sort of plan to get rid of our nuclear arsenal, and the president's only chance was to kill me and Cat 2 from 3rd Battalion 8th Marines in a nuclear holocaust, I'm willing to do that.
I'll take that hint.
Yeah. Just make a dope movie about it.
Yeah,
And make sure the character that plays me has a huge penis.
but I think they did such a good job humanizing everybody and having action that also balanced like the character development. You know,
Right.
like Cassian, you know, went full like okay, I'm willing to kill like this motherfucker that's already injured, you know, to get away and like save the, you know, plans or whatever it is, like the information, and then like okay, well.
You're talking about the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
Right. So that's a very it doesn't it,
And same
that
thing with
gets away
Jin.
from that
Same thing with Jin.
that black
Yeah,
and
I
whiteness
feel
of Star
like-
Wars and really shows you that there's a lot of gray area. Like he killed a man in cold blood to fulfill a mission that had
Yeah.
better ends, right? It was just an ends
Right.
to a mean or means to an end. Sorry.
I also feel like everything they did with Jin is what they should have done with Rey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She wasn't just God's gift to the Force
Like
or
she
God's
was
gift to
a disgruntled bitch at the beginning because she was fucking in prison and
Yeah.
being transported. She did
and then she
not.
had character development.
Tossed
Yeah.
around
She
her
didn't
entire
just
life.
come out as Matt Damon in The Bourne Identity out of the gate.
Yeah.
She learned how to do some stuff.
And
Yeah.
she was also trained by a super, like,
Saw Godana.
yeah, fucking macho man, fucking Randy Savage rebellion motherfucker who was like not even with the rebellion. He was that.
was Space Osama bin Laden.
Yeah. Like, he was
Like, I get it.
beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means she was hand-me-down trained by the 501st. Because they, Captain Rex and some others went and trained a guerrilla force on Saw Gerrera's home planet. And that's how he became a freedom fighter.
Badass, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, because he's in Commandos.
No, he is in
Or was it Rebel?
Jedi Fallen Order, but he's also in...
He's in one of
Clone-
the
he's
animated
in the Clone
Clone
Wars.
Wars. Okay, that's it. Yeah.
And let's not forget how shitty Solo was.
I was
I
gonna
did
try to
not
not
like
talk
it.
about it.
It was
at all,
Ocean's 13 in Star Wars. It was just like a
I
really...
like it.
It was like a really
I
poorly
like
but
made
that was really
heist
good. That's
movie.
good. Yeah, yeah.
The ending was so dumb.
And if
So
any of you have
fucking
read the original Solo trilogy, it's not Karen Travis, I don't think, that wrote it. It may have been, but I don't think it was. Anyway, his story arc that they wrote into 3 novels before the retcon was fantastic, and it gave a hugely different story about like how he came to know Chewbacca, and like he fell in love with this other girl, but she was addicted to drugs, and then it turns out that she and he like helped her clean up, and then she was just like, I need to go find myself and do something, so she shacks up with the rebellion, but she doesn't tell him about it because she knows he's about to go into the Imperial Flight Academy, and then he becomes a pilot, and then he's on a ship, and this ship is about to like take these Wookiees prisoners to use them as miners, but he got raised by a Wookiee, and so he's like, fuck you, creates a mutiny, rescues the Wookiees, and then they ditch, and now he's a wanted man for like the rest of his career.
And I think that's probably the biggest travesty for me, at least, was that they, like I said, they had 30 plus years of books and comics and other
Made
like
it
things, stories.
non-canon.
Yeah, and they're like,
Who
you know what?
the fuck does that?
Yeah, because I mean that was countless stories and novels and like lore.
That was totally a Disney thing. Like,
Yeah.
Disney is so
Well, they weren't going
dumb.
to make money off of any of that stuff.
Yeah,
To be honest, though, they probably could have acquired all of the rights to those stories.
yeah. A multi-billion-dollar company just throwing away all that stuff that they could have used.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actual
Travesty.
original ideas in books.
Original is key, and that's why I
Yeah.
think The Mandalorian did so well and is universally loved by people on both sides of that prequel and
everybody.
new
Just everybody.
because it's the Star Wars universe, so you got the backdrop of Star Wars, but it's an entirely new set of characters, a new set of problems, new set locations. It's shot in a way that isn't traditionally Star Wars because it's very Western, right? Like if you guys are familiar with Lone Wolf and Cub, which is like an old samurai Western. It's about like a ex-samurai who becomes wanted, and then he like carries this baby around. That is also, they want it because it's like the shogun or the emperor's son or whatever, but he's just like, no, you can't have it. And
Yeah.
it's just a fantastic show. I think
gives
Pedro Pascal killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby
It gives
Yoda.
a new meaning to like the Star Wars universe because there's so much unexplored, like
Yeah.
in the movies, and that's all anyone will see. Not all the new fans. That's all that they'll see is the movies, probably, because a lot of people don't read anymore.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't fucking look into the lore anymore, so that's all they're gonna see. And then Mandalorian comes along and poses it, and it's also what you said earlier. There's not as many Force-using individuals.
I don't think that. Oh, just Yoda. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yoda.
Yeah.
And that's
Yogurt.
it. And they're all mesmerized by the fact that this child can do this
Yeah, I
shit.
haven't seen that shit in 100
Yeah.
years.
And it's like this child fucking killed a giant ass rhino thing, saved his fucking
He
life.
lifted it up. Okay. Oh, that's all.
He lifted it.
He
Mando
lifted
killed
it.
with a really tiny knife, alright?
It was a tiny. What?
That
What
knife
is
was
this?
like this big,
Compared to the
Okay,
beast.
yeah.
Yeah,
By
and then-
relative terms,
and
fine.
then it goes like
tiny.
right behind the ear, he's just like, and then it just dies.
Well, it's a vibroblade. Okay.
I don't know what that means, but I'm on board.
It means it vibrates.
Look, I'm
at
not
a-
against it. I'm not against
The only
it.
thing I had to criticize about the show is that I wish they hadn't shown his face.
Yeah.
I like how they did it, though. They did keep it in turn with that Mandalorian aspect. He won't show it
Yeah.
to another living person, but he showed it to the robot.
robot,
And you
yeah.
you can't have an actor that high profile and not give him some close up FaceTime. You just
Not to
can't.
mention he's
Well-
hot. So
Sure.
Yeah.
In like episode 3 or 4, whenever they go to that weird peace planet in Timbuk with
Yeah.
the chick, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and he takes his helmet off in the little.
Puts it on the thing.
Yeah, once I saw
Yeah.
that, I was like, they're gonna take his helmet off. They're gonna show it to somebody.
yeah.
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 But he doesn't show it to anybody. He doesn't, switch gods because he wants some puss. Like, he stays true.
You know what?
I like this guy.
I'll be the first to say it too. I should tear for his buddy.
The robot.
No,
Oh.
not for the robot, but for Nick Nolte's character.
Yeah,
Oh,
what
yeah.
a bummer.
What's his name?
Somebody
I
had
have
that.
spoken.
Yeah, I
Oh
forget.
yeah, that shit
Quill.
was so
Quill.
sad.
There you go.
Shit was
Quill.
upsetting.
Yeah.
Ugnaught.
He was nothing but cool and
Yeah.
like
literally
super
bent over
helpful.
backwards, opened his home, like took care of the child,
babysat this
gave him the
child.
droid.
I also like
Somebody had to die, though.
that they didn't take
Yeah.
themselves
And
overly
the robot
serious
did too.
in the show. The robot made a
Taika
comeback.
Waititi's character.
Yeah,
He died.
IG.
Yeah.
IG-88?
Yeah.
he went out like a
IG-11.
fucking
It was an
G.
88. It
IG-11.
was an 88. It was
IG-11. Sorry,
Yes.
whatever.
People get mad if it was IG-88.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, there's like 7 IG-88s because he
Clones.
downloaded
Yeah,
his
like,
consciousness to like several models.
People would still be mad.
But they didn't take themselves
Everybody's
too
on
seriously
time.
throughout the show because there is some, like my favorite one in like the last episode when the scout troopers are like trying to shoot that thing on the ground and they can't.
Yeah.
They keep missing. They're like
Yeah,
looking
Maybe,
at
it's
their
the,
guns.
maybe
like,
it's the gun.
yeah.
One of those guys was Jason Sudeikis from SNL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other guy, I forget his name, but he
He's
was
a
in a show
comedian.
called Happy Endings.
Yeah. What's his name? Anyway, it was really good. Like maybe it's the pistol, or maybe it's the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you just suck, bro.
And in terms of
Those
And-
helmets are not good.
in terms of a diverse cast, I think they did very well as well, and they did it in that way that I'm talking about, where it's not
Very
character traits, right? Like
Not her.
like Gina
Sorry.
Gina Carano.
Gina Carano. This
Dude,
one.
First of all,
Way the
Gina
fuck
Carano,
up.
if you
Jesus
ever listen to
Christ.
this, I love you, and it's like you were made in a lab. But her character was cool and capable and badass, and happened to be a woman. She wasn't cool and capable and badass because she was a woman,
Yeah.
which is where I think people kind of like you lose those.
And it
Thanks,
wasn't a
people.
phenomenon either. Like she would fucking wrestle dudes in a fucking bar
Yeah.
for fun,
And that was the
and
thing.
no
like,
one made a big deal about
yeah,
it.
they never once said it's like.
I
go,
got
girl.
bit by a
Yeah, you
chicken.
go, girl.
She's
Yeah.
got a
Yeah.
Republic Alliance Special Forces tattoo on her
Yeah.
shoulder.
Yeah.
And I will say this: that's one thing I've always wanted to see more of. Is like the rebels obviously had a good command structure, so they had to have like some kind of special units, special forces. They didn't really go into that in much stuff at all.
Until the Mandalorian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would love to
Drop
see more
shoots.
of that kind of. Yeah.
So ODST.
ODST.
apparently
Yeah. Exactly.
exists.
Yeah. Like I would love to see more of that lore, backstory, or anything like that.
Which is why I loved Republic Commando on the Xbox, the original Xbox,
Yeah.
right? So you get to see some of that, the
Little
gritty,
bit. Yeah.
the gritty, hardcore soldier, non-force user side of Star Wars. I would watch. So we're getting some of that in the Mandalorian. But if you did like a Band of Brothers miniseries where you follow a group of clone troopers through like the entire tour of Felucia, where they're like, there's like jungle rot and there's like giant funguses that'll like come down and like goo you up and eat you like a Venus flytrap, and they're like, they got anti-foliage combat shotguns. They're smoking spice out of them. And they're like cruising around with like droid killer on their written on their helmet. They're like leaning out of Lat V gunships, just like shooting women and children because they don't know if they're good or bad. I'd watch the fuck out of that.
That'd
Good
be
stuff.
If you
fucking
read- if you-
awesome.
If you did a reshoot of like Full Metal Jacket or Platoon, but you did it with clone troopers, done. I would buy what you could drop a new anniversary edition every year, and I'm gonna buy it, even if it's the same goddamn movie.
All right. I will say this too. I don't know who else is excited about it, but the guy that played Jango Fett, Temuera Morrison,
Yep,
is
got
going to
me.
play Boba Fett in season 2 of The Mandalorian.
I'm so excited, which means it's canon that he survived the Sarlacc pit. What up?
I mean, we all secretly knew he was fine.
Yeah,
It's Boba Fett.
he's too hard to
I
kill.
mean, come on. They would be literally throwing away money if they didn't bring this motherfucker into this thing.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. I think
Mandalorians have always been my favorite aspect of the Star Wars universe because they find that way to continue and thrive without having any of the Force.
literally fighting Jedi hand to hand.
Yeah, and Jango Fett. That's why they use Jango Fett as the template for the clones, is because he killed 7 Jedi with his bare hands. What?
You think a Sarlacc pit's going to take that guy down? Hell no. Now let me ask you this: who here thinks that they're going to reveal how he survived the Sarlacc pit?
I think
think-
he may mention it.
I
But I
don't
think they'll
think-
keep that
yeah.
air of
Yeah.
mystery.
Yeah, they're not gonna say it.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I feel like if they just came out and it was like, oh yeah, this is how I did it.
They might not
would-
mention it at all.
No.
Because there's Mando probably doesn't even know he's dead, or was dead.
He might not even know who he was.
I was
might
gonna say, they might
or
not even
that.
know who he
Yeah,
is.
he might just run into
I mean,
him.
I
Like, hey,
don't
what's
know.
up, bro?
I think they'll have heard of him. I mean, pretty
do
much
you not?
everybody on
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Boba Fett. You know, it's the best bounty hunter in the universe.
I hope the Forge Master comes back because I thought she was gonna die, and then she's
No.
just like, "This is the way," and then she beats
Slaying
the shit out of an
bodies,
entire
yeah.
squad of
With a
stormtroopers
hammer.
with a hammer and
a
tongs. yeah.
I've used the Forge.
That was the
Shoot.
first time I've ever seen a
What was it?
stormtrooper helmet explode.
Massive
Yeah,
crap,
the head.
bro.
That was lit.
I mean, obviously they're not good for
Crap
deflecting
kicking
blasters, so I
ass.
mean, just as prosthetics at that point. Yeah.
God damn, yo. That shit was good.
Yeah, that she was probably my second favorite character in that whole series.
That was another thing. Is like another strong woman character. That
The leader of the
was,
clan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
It wasn't a big deal. She was strong. She beats. Like you didn't expect her to beat their fucking asses like
I
that.
thought she might
but
get one or two of
totally
them.
Yeah, but she slayed them.
Yeah,
did. She
100% just murdered them.
Hand to hand against like multiple guys
She
with
didn't
blasters.
have to brag about it. Like, oh, I'm a woman and I can do this shit.
Who's gonna
Like,
clean this shit up? I'm not doing it. I'm the boss.
they
Okay.
all left, right? All the other Mandalorian people. Or
Yeah,
If
were
they didn't
killed?
die, they left.
Yeah, if they didn't die, they abandoned. Yeah, they went somewhere else. Migrated. or
They had to
whatever you
live in
wanna
what they called coverts, which are like little underground clans. So they're
call
like
it.
they live in sewers or in caves outside
Yeah,
of society
yeah.
because they're not they're not
Accepted.
legally allowed to like congregate
Yeah.
and form
Yeah. Coronavirus.
communities.
2.0.
Coronavirus.
In
space.
The revelation of the dark saber at the end of the last
Oh,
episode as
My
well.
God.
My jaw hit the ground. I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah, because
See, I didn't get it. I was like,
So the dark
You
I don't know what
mentioned
saber.
it
it.
is.
In Rogue One, like they had the file for the dark saber.
it was a file on a drive.
She said it
name,
out.
A name on a drive. But so in the lore, that was passed down. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The mantle of like the leader of the Mandalorians had that blade since from ancient times when there was a Mandalorian that was a Jedi, right?
I can't remember if he was he wasn't a Jedi, but he was either force sensitive.
He
or
became a Jedi and he
realized
like
that-
left.
that was how they were going to be able to combat them in hand-to-hand combat. Because up to that point, the only thing that they could do is utilize like slug throwers.
Mhm.
Because if I shoot a tungsten slug at you, and you hit it with and you superheat it instantly with a lightsaber, it's either going to hit you as a molten lava bullet, or it's going to just vaporize whatever air bubbles are inside of it and explode. Now it's a miniature frag grenade. And they realized this would probably be a more efficient way to fight them, and he made the Darksaber.
Yeah, which was like the only like
And I could be wrong about that. I haven't read
blade,
it in a
actual
while.
blade, like lightsaber there ever has been.
So it's a
Yeah.
fixed blade lightsaber.
It's,
Well, they're all
it's-
fixed blade, but it's thin, right?
It's
so
not
you
a
turn it
cylinder-
this way,
yeah.
it looks like a katana.
It's a blade instead of being like a cylinder like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Another thing I liked about The Mandalorian was how it posed that, because in a lot of the movies, it's like Jedi are these good, they can do no wrong kind of things, but then Mandalorian comes along and it's like, these people took fucking children from their families and raised them in vigorous training schedules, and basically it was a religion.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is fucked up.
So they start to touch on that idea in Revenge of the Sith, and then they really continue it in the Clone Wars series. Like they really get into like Ahsoka. That's like Ahsoka's whole arc, and eventually she leaves the Order because she's just like, we're supposed to be keepers of the peace, and then here we are. We get people with no combat experience, and now they're treating us like we're generals and commanders, and they're forcing us to fight a war in which we should have no side, because people are dying on both sides of this that don't need to be dying.
Yeah.
she was right though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think Mandalorian was also driving that home. Like, Mandalorians are very family oriented and like found family and all that kind of stuff. Like all these children who were abandoned because of war, because their parents were killed.
Mhm.
They became orphans and were adopted, like how Mando was. And it's like they hate Jedi because of the fact that they are.
They thought that
taking
they could come in
children.
and put the law in place over them. Like, we don't want your shit. Like,
Yeah.
which is very, in my opinion, reminiscent of like the spreading of Catholicism across Europe.
Yeah.
And they come in and they tell Vikings like, can't do this shit anymore. And the Vikings are like, who the fuck are you?
Tiny.
Yeah. Oh, you have a whole bunch of gold in your church? Well, I'm just gonna take it, and I'm gonna fuck your wife, and I'm taking your farm too.
I'm gonna fuck your wife
And
again.
kill your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bash your
and
kids' heads out on the rock.
There's also the religious, like, what's it called?
You're
Like,
gonna say zealotry?
yeah, basically. Like, Jedis
I
were
know
very, very highly religious, and it was kind of like yes, the Force is a thing. Like, even non-religious people could have the Force,
Like
you
the
know?
Sith.
Yeah. Like, that I don't know.
I think that's a good parallel. So if you can look at Jedi's as like the Inquisition, and you can look at the Sith as like Stalinist secular communists, and then the middle ground would be like the Mandalorians, which are libertarian. They're like, we don't really give a shit, but we're not going to listen to what you say if we don't like it.
Yeah, pretty much.
One thing I never agreed with was like, why would you just because they're Jedi and they have the Force, why would you put them in charge of like battalions and worth of like highly trained, like this is what we're literally born to do, make war like clone
Yeah.
troopers?
Or even
why not
beyond
just make
that-
them like a special forces unit?
Right.
You know?
Or
like,
the intermediaries.
yeah, exactly. Like, why would you like just put like,
Yeah,
oh,
like
General Kenobi.
Like,
Why are you a general?
Hello
yeah.
there.
What happened?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
How many campaigns have you run in the Pacific Theater, sir? 0?
these guys were like bred, you know, every single day. Don't run through simulations and all that shit. Like
Yeah.
way more combat experience.
I think the men that trained them should have been who ended up being like the high level commanders. Like the Joint Chiefs of Staff should have been like Jango Fett and Cal Skirata and all these people that trained the clone troopers themselves.
Yeah.
Right, so they hired a bunch of Mandalorians and mercenaries to actually teach them real warfare.
Covert ops, guerrilla warfare, and
Yeah.
that kind of shit. Yeah. I mean, it's cool that they like became their own though. Like, had their own little like designed their own helmets and like made little modifications to their
Yeah.
armor and things like that to stand out and be individuals.
I thought
Like
that
in
was
the
a-
Clone Wars.
That was
Clone
an
Wars.
interesting take on it because a lot of people have this weird sense that like, oh, clones will all be the same and they'll do the same stuff. And then I think that ends the moment those two entities experience anything even remotely separate, right?
Right.
Like
Exactly.
you are not going to be the same person if you were on Felucia as if you were in like the first drop on Geonosis, right? Like the guys that took Midway and Guadalcanal did not come back with the same sets of trauma and experiences and friendships and sea stories that the dudes on D-Day did, right? And I thought that was a really interesting way to exemplify that. Would be like these guys, they call themselves the Wolf Pack, and they put like tribal symbols and wolf stuff on their armor.
Yeah.
And then these guys, the 501st, and they like to jerk off Anakin all the time because he. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this: what did everybody think of the ending of this trilogy?
Didn't see it. Don't care about it.
So, because I just watched it.
Ah, you just watched
I'm
it.
the harbor of information right
Oh, the harbor.
now.
Are you geeky?
Dude, let me tell you. First of all, I don't care. So, like, I didn't love Star Wars since I was 4 years old. It's not my
Ingrained in
thing. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I like it, but I don't love it, and it's not my fucking.
Baby.
It doesn't really matter to me how it ends. It was fine.
See,
Like-
you grew up in the late 90s.
I watched it and I was like, it's fine. Like I understand. Like I'm sure you have a significant amount of problems. I think it has some good moments in it. Like right towards the end when Rey is confronting fucking Palpatine, and then Ben Solo is coming up on his Knights of Ren, which also I don't like how the Knights of Ren were treated. That's besides the point. But he runs into them and he's like, fuck. But then they do that weird Force thing where they see each other, and then she like puts the lightsaber behind her, and then he takes it out and like lights it, and he's like,
There was some
like
cool.
that's
way-
kind of cool.
there
Like
was
I
some-
like that.
Yeah, I'll give you that. There's some cool
there's
ways they use
moments
the
in it.
Force.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's alright. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like it's fine.
I didn't.
It's not great.
Nothing happened over the course of those movies that made me care either.
Yeah. The first one, I liked the first one. The first one was like, oh, this is interesting.
Of course, you like the first one.
I would
because
like
it's
to see where
also
this
the
goes.
first one that I watched growing up. It's like the same thing, except it's a planet instead of a fake planet. They just built a big gun into a planet instead of making a planet.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Honestly, the whole Ben Solo fighting the Knights of Ren, like I get that they were his like knights or whatever the fuck, but they went down so fucking easy.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen him get carved up a little bit.
Yeah. He totally deserved everything he got because he was a fucking bitch. But at the same time, it's
Wow.
like
Tell me how you really feel.
he killed his own dad. Come on.
Yeah, okay, that's one
He
thing.
did kill Han.
He
Yeah.
killed Han Solo.
But for them to be so feared and considered like so badass, like different weapons and shit, they really
didn't
Didn't get
hold
any
a
screen.
candle.
Didn't
Yeah,
get
we
any
never
screen
saw
time.
them
Yeah,
do
you never
anything.
do. Yeah.
They captured Chewbacca off screen early in the movie, and that was it. Then he beats the fuck out of them. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it would be nice to see them maybe show up season 3 of The Mandalorian, where they act as like some sort of Gestapo force. Right, like and they're hunting for like Jedi Anne Franks and shit.
dude,
Oh
something.
That would be interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was about as good as you could ask for with the way the last two went with The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. It was about as good as you could ask for. Definitely not what we wanted. I don't think anybody going into the trilogy. But where do we think it's going to go going forward?
I hope they stop with this fucking Skywalker shit.
yeah.
'Cause I don't care
I mean,
anymore.
they wrote several endings for this movie.
They filmed
because-
several endings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They had several different ways that it could have ended, and they chose that one. And not only that, they chose that one because a screen
Screen test.
yeah, it got leaked. Not only did they have a bad reaction to one of their screen tests, but Finn's actor, what is his name? John Boyega,
Yeah.
left his script in a hotel room and it got fucking leaked.
Dude, I'm gonna swipe that.
So they
shit.
had to change it. So they had to change it. And it's like, what could have been different? What could have they
I
have
think they were
released?
they're very clearly trying to walk back what happened in fucking Return of...
Last
Yeah, they
Jedi.
tried to
Last Jedi.
undo
Yeah, it
and
wasn't...
then
To damage.
redo
Yeah.
and then end something in one film.
Yeah, so... And they were also trying to work with what they had. Like, fucking Carrie Fisher died, which very clearly they were trying to have her, like, Leia be training Rey, which is kind of how it starts,
Yeah.
right? But they can't because they only have,
So much
like,
footage.
old footage and, like, CG, you know what I'm saying? So they were clearly trying to do that. They were also trying to close all the loops as much as they can while walking back the stuff that Rian Johnson did that people didn't like, and do as much fan service as possible in 2.5 hours and close off the trilogy.
It was a mess. Yeah.
So they had a mess and they were trying to gather everything up as much as they could and fucking finish it off. But I think they were fucked either way.
it's like when your parents
No
come
matter
over
what
to your
they-
kid, like, you packed? You're like, yeah, I'm packed. And then
Yeah.
they open up your suitcase and it just explodes with a
Yeah.
bunch of bullshit.
Look, people would have been mad either way. Like, no matter what they did, people would have been upset.
True.
You know what I mean?
So where do we want to see it going forward?
It would be better if they did kind of like how The Mandalorian or like fucking what the fuck Rogue One. Just like you said, stick with one director, stick with whatever, and then have somebody that actually
A fan.
actually
Yeah.
likes the story and like follows the not lore, but now it's not lore anymore, but lore. Like,
I think that's why The Mandalorian, like you said, was so successful. Not only was they kept it the way it was, grounded and everything, and explored a lot more that we didn't really think about with Star Wars, but you had Jon Favreau, Taika Waititi, and I don't know, I think there was like 2 or 3 other like real fanboy director, producers, like high-level guys that are fans at the end of the day, like working on this together to make this one really good product.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's probably going to be years before more movies come out, and hopefully they explore like the outer reaches of the universes, because it's an entire universe, galaxy, whatever, of lore that you can explore, especially that you can start fresh without the books.
I want to see the Greys, the Grey Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
want-
that's the rumor I've
that's
heard.
one thing that I don't like. I understand it for the most part. Like, people are saying that what's her face is like when she
Rey.
left. No,
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Oh, so
She's. People were like, "Oh yeah, she's a Grey Jedi," and I'm like, "But what does that mean?" Like, I get, oh, they leave the Order, but
The
like,
actual peacekeepers.
Yeah,
what
those-
turns their lightsabers
They're the
gray?
intermediate.
and,
Well, they
like,
do.
What they
Well, they changed that canonically. Originally, they had gray lightsabers because of the kyber crystals that they used. It wasn't because of any of the force powers that they imbued it with, right? It was just Sith used a synthetic kyber crystal, so they were all red, and then the Jedi would find natural ones and use like the Force to locate them, and that's part of their trials, and that was how they got their lightsabers in different colors.
Okay.
And then the Greys
Yeah.
were just like, we're just gonna use standard.
Because I'm not like
What's the?
Well, a little.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm not like the biggest Star Wars nut.
Yeah.
Like you were saying.
Yeah,
I
I like it, but I
I'm more Lord of the Rings, but like I don't know, that stuff is like fucking.
What I originally read, and you might have heard of this before, was that Luke, obviously it's non-canon because it was in a book, discovered this, doing research into ancient Jedi and stuff, was that there was neither Jedi nor Sith in the beginning when they first discovered the Force. It was the gray, whatever you want to call them, Jedi, that used light and darkness as a balance.
Yeah.
And that's what they say that the balance in the Force is that you can't just be all good or all bad because one's going to go one way and another is another way. You're supposed to
yin and
have
yang.
exactly. You're supposed
You're
to
gonna
have balance.
cause problems by trying to do everything one way.
Exactly, and that was what
Extremism.
the original aliens that were the original Force users discovered and did. But then obviously it got convoluted, and there was different factions that got made, and that's how you have the Jedi and the Sith originally.
But it's like, why not show us that? Like, show me. I'm like you were saying before too, Chase. Like, I'm done with the Skywalker shit.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
if you-
I'm no.
You guys have
There's
seen
so
the
much
guy-
more to explore.
Yeah.
I would like
Yeah.
to see an old Republic.
Yeah.
That would be
So
awesome.
that's
They
the
don't
rumor that they're going to go for the next trilogy.
Because you could do a lot of stuff with that. And stuff that is still, I believe, canon. I think Knights of the Old Republic and
I think the games are.
The Old Republic MMO is canon, and those have a ton of good stories.
Yeah.
But if not that, I would like to see, because you have to keep the war in Star Wars, right? Maybe some sort of extreme faction within the Galactic Alliance that is sees that they're kind of starting to lose some level of control and authoritarianism in the Outer Rim, so they go back and they try to revive like Imperial weapons programs, and somebody has to you can make like a Jason Bourne film where like the sum of all fears, but instead of the Soviets getting Russian nukes, like Russian terrorists getting nukes, it's like deep state operatives of the Galactic Alliance that are like trying to rebuild the Star Destroyer or the Death Star, and so has to go hunt them down.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Question: what's the deal with the yellow lightsaber? What is that shit?
So yeah, the lightsaber colors were based off of like your role within the Jedi Order. So like green meant you behaved a certain way, and blue was like your knights, and like your more they were a combative role, and then the yellow was the Sentinels, which were like the guards for
of the
places.
Jedi Palace and Temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So like that blind dude, right? He was a guard.
Well, and they did that in Rogue One. I don't know if you really remember this either, but
He was
The
like a descendant
guys-
of the guard.
the blind guy, the Asian guy, I forget his name. He was Ip Man. But that was his role.
Is that Donnie?
Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen, that's right. They were guarding that temple on Jeddah.
Mm-hmm.
That was his like faction, like cult or whatever you want to call it, like Buddhist monks. They were guards. I don't know if he was blind from birth or whatever. I assume he was, but it kind of leans that he was maybe force sensitive, but not like full blown force.
Right.
But like the fact that he could like obviously beat the fuck out of anybody blind like that, but that was his role, was a Jedi Temple guard, on that planet at least.
And he was very, very,
Devout.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with the other guy though, the guy that like the tank dude.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
gun was cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
That was a cool. That was
If
a cool
everyone
weapon
had
to
that
see.
fucking gun, they would have won.
Yeah.
But I would like to see more like random stuff like that. Like
smaller
Expand
scale.
on Star Wars.
Yeah,
You
expand,
can do,
like-
it's a large universe, man. It's filled with
Yeah,
a bunch
and
of
now
people. You can do smaller scale stories that are interesting.
Yeah.
like Disney
Yeah.
Plus is out there now, and you can literally
Yeah.
make shows about this stuff that would be much more in depth than you can
Yeah.
get in a movie in 2 hours.
I think miniseries would be a better way to go.
Yeah.
Because eventually, like, you can only spread peanut butter on bread so far. Sometimes you got to add more peanut butter, or maybe you got to get to the other piece of bread and start putting your jelly on. Right? I would watch far more miniseries than I would go and pay to see a movie.
Right. I mean, considering it costs
Put
like
so much
$30.
more information into a series than you can into a fucking movie. And you can do a lot more fleshing out of characters and fleshing out of, like... I think Rogue One was good because, like, they were good at fleshing out their characters, making you care about them, and then they killed everybody.
Yeah. What a sucker
Everybody.
punch.
Like, you felt that at the end. You're like, fuck.
Damn.
This is what war's really
Just
fucking
I just don't
like.
Yeah.
believe. I just don't believe that he would ask for a kiss as the planet was blowing up. Because 100%, I would have been like, "Let me see your tits."
Or
I'm
like,
gonna die.
War.
I'm about to die in
Come
a
on.
nuclear holocaust. I want to see your boobies, please.
did she have any though?
Yeah, she's a woman. Of course she has boobies. I don't care if they're big or small. I just want to see them. I'm not a picky man.
It's not the size of the boat. It's the motion of the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Goes both ways.
Yeah.
Because then my last words would have been nice. And then vaporized.
Yeah. And that was something they...
We're gonna talk about tits.
And I think they did that flawlessly, though. It was like they literally made you care about every single character in that fucking...
And
I
then
was
murdered
so
them.
sad when the old gay married couple died. The
Are we
fucking
sh-
blind dude and the fucking tank dude. I was like, man, they were like an old married couple.
Yeah.
They both watched. Well, he watched his
Are we sure
friend die.
George R.R. Martin didn't direct that movie? Because
not enough penis out.
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
know, we know.
But no, I like you literally cared about even the guy like sitting in the back like, yeah, let's do it. Like, and then everybody just fucking got murked.
Yeah.
Like everyone. Like
All those criminals. I like when they got all the
And then
criminals
the-
together. Like, yeah, we'll totally go and do this black house mission with you. Because if we go back into the real world, like, we're going to jail.
And then that
Space
Imperial robot they
Space Jam.
rewired.
Oh, K2
He was
SO.
such a fucking
Alan
sass master,
Tudyk
dude.
can play anything. That man is a god amongst
I told her
actors.
that it was like, yeah, that's the guy that does Sonny from like iRobot. He does like Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah.
And she was like,
He was in
Really?
Firefly.
He
He
was
was
a
Wash.
fucking sass master, and I hated when he died. Oh my god.
Huh.
I
You know-
loved the sassy characters who like act like they don't give a fuck about anything, and then they sacrifice themselves for the cause, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, they actually did fucking care.
Of course they did.
yeah. I was like, do not resist. You're being rescued.
Congratulations.
Punches her in the face.
Why does she have a gun? How do I get a gun?
Why? I want a blaster.
Well, it's the same thing like with in Solo. Like that was probably the only one of the few characters I actually liked was Lando's droid. The one that was trying to like rebellion.
Oh yeah.
I
I
forgot
don't.
so.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like needlessly defiant characters.
Yeah,
People that would defy anything
just
just
still a
because
little hard, but yeah, it was
Uh,
still out of those characters though. It was still one of the
She's
better
most,
ones.
yeah, the most
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
Although Donald Glover did a good job as a young Lando.
Oh yeah.
This is true.
Oh
Just
yeah.
my-
It's Donald Glover though. The man's like,
Yeah,
Pretty
he's a
good.
fantastic.
He's
actor.
versatile.
yeah. I mean, he didn't hold up any Colt 45 or anything, but still, malt liquor. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get turned off.
I
Please
just
don't-
sit here singing
Yeah.
Colt 45.
Good thing I'm not trying to get money from this.
Yeah.
Yet.
Demonetized.
Wait, I'm not getting paid? What the fuck is this
Yeah.
bullshit?
But I think we can all agree that at the end of the day, we all enjoy Star Wars,
Yeah.
and definitely, I'm interested to see where they go with this. Considering, like I said, Disney Plus is now a thing, and
I think
Sorry.
it's a solid world. There's been a lot of effort put into the building of it. It was a fantastic I don't know. I feel like that's a big thing they don't have anymore these days. Is like world building, like really good world building that expands volumes of books, movies,
Languages,
Yeah,
art.
and like
cultures.
how Lord of the Rings, they would make the
Yeah.
languages, and like Star Trek.
Well, that's how that
and
started.
shit.
That's how, because Tolkien was a linguist, and he developed these languages based off of Old English and Welsh and all the and Gaelic to flesh out like a retelling of English mythology that they'd lost when the Romans took over.
because I think he was a code breaker in World War II, right?
I don't know.
Something like that. He did something like that
No,
for the English.
Benedict Cumberbatch, or
Yeah.
whatever his name was,
in that one
in
movie.
that one movie.
Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna do an episode just on Lord of the Rings and Tolkien verse
Oh, I am in.
alone. Don't worry.
Oh,
I know Jake is
Oh.
excited about that.
We
Yes.
should call Stephen Colbert up. Get his ass in here.
Stephen Colbert.
Maybe we can get Samwise on here.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's probably itching for money.
Throw me.
He did get,
Throw me.
He hasn't done anything good since Goonies. It was
he got
Goonies.
killed
Lord
off
of
of
the
Stranger
Rings.
Things, so
Oh yeah, he was on Stranger Things.
yeah.
Anyway, I think moral of the story, some of it sucks, some of it doesn't.
I think the further and more
Can't please
expansive you
everybody.
get in any franchise, the higher the probability comes that you're going to find something you don't like. Right? And I'm willing to continue to see movies that I may not like and support a company that I think is the fucking devil if that means that every once in a while I get a solid gem out of that franchise that is something I love, like The Mandalorian. Like, it sucks that we had 3 shitty movies, but we got Rogue One, and we got The Mandalorian, and we got Jedi Fallen Order, the game, which
Yeah.
was pretty good, right? And I'm willing to take those 4 things in exchange for 3 really shitty ones.
Well, and Solo.
And Solo.
I don't talk about that.
We
That's
don't
what we
talk
talk about
Don't
it.
mention
Yeah.
it.
No one knows about
It
it.
didn't really exist.
Well, that's it for this week's episode, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, once again, we've had Lennon,
Sayonara.
Chase,
Hasta luego.
Jake,
I'm still not drunk.
and Tor on this week's episode. So, as always, thanks for tuning in. Drop a like, leave us a comment on something that you guys want us to see in the future, okay? All right.
Yeah,
Later.
what was that one?